Hey everybody, Claudia from the Wee Garden Homestead here. I have another quilt reveal for you. This one was the one I worked on in my WIP It Wednesdays. It was in a series of WIP It Wednesdays, and I talked about it in my last WIP It Wednesday, the one on June 4th. That's the last one I posted. I'm not sure when this video is going to come out, so there may be one more after that. But this was the one I made from scraps that Jocelyn and I purchased at the quilt show. And I worked on it throughout a bunch of WIP It Wednesdays, probably about a month's worth. And I went back and I dug up all that video footage, and I'm going to put together a video for you of just this quilt. Now, some of them may mention WIP It Wednesdays, but that's because I pulled the footage from what I had already posted. So if you've already seen it, I'm sorry. But it is finished. I made a back to match. It's quilted, it's bound, and I can't wait to show you the whole thing. I'm going to get it up on the wall behind me, get some pictures. It's raining right now, but if we get a little break in the rain, I'm going to see if Salty will run outside with me and we'll do a quilt drop. Otherwise, I'll do it in a little bit. But this was my WIP It Wednesday quilt. This was totally scrappy. It was almost all the scraps from the quilt show, with a few scraps from Mom's stash and maybe a few from mine added in when I just didn't have long enough strips. So I'm going to get it on the wall and give you the reveal and show you what it's like. Before I get it up there, I'm going to put together all the little all the little snippets of me working on it so you can see how I did it. Thanks so much for joining me. As always, like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Do you make scrap quilts? Do you like to make scrap quilts? Because they're my favorite. I like to call them everything but the kitchen sink quilts. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and you know what? Share. Thanks so much. So I am Claudia. Welcome to the Wee Garden Homestead. We're in the quilt room again today. Please pardon my stack of stuff back there. If you've been watching my videos lately, you know I've been cleaning out one big room and condensing it all into one small room, which I already had, but half of my small room is stacked. I can just get to my ironing board and my sewing machine. So when I went to the quilt show last week with Jocelyn, we picked up if you didn't watch the video, we picked up 8-gallon Ziploc baggies full of fabric it was supposed to be 50 cents each. I don't think they charged me that much, which is fine. But I had these bags. It was just scraps. So in trying to decide what to do with them, I wanted to condense them down and get an idea of what I had. So I started cutting what I could into, I had some big pieces first off. I have a bunch of big pieces that I just set aside. These are fat quarters or close to fat quarters. And I set these aside because they were pretty good sized pieces. Then I cut what I could into 5-inch squares because I thought I wanted to make sure they were sizes that I would use. So I've got a bunch of 5-inch squares, just what I could get out of those scraps. And then I cut what I couldn't get in 5-inch squares. I cut into 2.5-inch strips, and I have a ton of these just from those bags, a ton of them. Pink, blue, a little bit of green, a lot of pink, blue, and some purple. A lot of pink, some blue, and some purple, and then a few other colors that were mixed in, some green and some yellow and that. I mean, look at this. This is a lot of strips. Some of them are long, like with the fabric long, and some of them are on the shorter side, like, I don't know, maybe 5 inches. So in trying to decide what I'm going to do with these, all right, so here's where I'm at. I started with, sorry about that, I started with the 5-inch block in the middle, and then I did the 2.5 here, and the 2.5 here, and 2.5 here, and a 2.5 here, and I'm on this round now. I'm going to do these two. These need to be pressed and trimmed. As you can see, they still have big long tails on them because I didn't cut anything beforehand. I'll trim them after, and then I'm just going to go here, and these blocks will be done, and I'll just put them together. I did not pay any attention to what was going with what, except I didn't want to put the same fabric in one block twice. So as they came off the pile, that's how they went on. So like when I go to the next round, I'm so sorry. I mean, you can see, and that was the only thing I did, was I made sure I didn't have the exact same fabric. I didn't care if it was the same color, but I didn't want to have the exact same fabric in 2 blocks. So I'm pretty sure I made that work. Yeah, I didn't worry about themes, like this one had the dogs and just whatever. So, then, you know, what I'll do is this will go here, and this one will actually get 2. And then, not this, see, like this purple I wouldn't use because I've already used it in this block, but I could use this purple next. And I did sort the strips out to start with to make sure that the short ones were going to go on here, and then you know what I mean. I sorted them out by length. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to get these pressed and trimmed and get back to the iron, get back to the sewing machine, and we'll probably be done with this before the next WIP It Wednesday. I'll probably have the quilt top together. I don't think the quilt will be finished, but I'll have the quilt top together. So let's see what I've got here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, I might have enough here. 17, 18, 19, 20. I think I have just enough. I don't think I'll have a single strip left. I will have, you know, these ends left for another project, but yeah, I'm gonna get these trimmed and get back to the sewing machine. I have just been pressing these right to the outside on, oh, geez. On all this, I'm having a hard time working around the camera here at the ironing board, but that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna press them all, and then I'll trim them, and yeah, this is looking good. Ooh, I cut that one a little close there, didn't I? There's nothing to trim there. Not very straight either. Oh well. And this is the last one to trim. That is it. That's all 20 of them trimmed. And let's see what we got here. We have these blocks. If you remember on the last WIP It, I am going to tip this down just a little bit. On the last WIP It, I finished putting them together. Well, I did manage to get them pressed and trimmed. And then next, before I start a new quilt, I might work on these for a little bit. I'm going to put them together, and I am just going to see this piece has no seam in it, and this piece has 2 seams. So I'm going to put them together that way. So no seam versus 2 seams, so I don't have to match any seams. And the only thing I'm going to worry about is it's going to be 4 rows across and 5 down. I'm going to try not to make the same fabric touch. And then I'm not even going to lay them out on a design wall or the bed or anything like that. I'm just going to put 4 rows together, and then I'm going to try to lay them out so that the same thing doesn't touch. I don't think it's going to be a problem because these colors are pretty well spread out because they were just scraps. But that's it for me. Okay, so today I have all of these squares that I've been working on for the last month or so, and I am going to get them all together today. I'm doing them in rows of 4, and I'll have 5 rows of 4 because I have 20 blocks. So I'm just using up, I've got a partial bobbin in there that I'm using up, and then I've got an almost empty spool of thread that I'm using up, and then I'll just move to another color. This is a scrap quilt. I really don't care about the color thread. Okay, the main thing that I'm going to worry about is I have a long piece here, and then the next piece up has The next piece up, I'm going to put the side that had the edge that has the seams up against the long piece, so I won't have any seams. I won't have to nest any seams. Now this one, the colors are a little close, so I'm going to turn this one around. But other than that, that is all I'm worried about with these. Okay, these guys are all sewn up. I did press them all to the solid piece, so they'll nest when I go to put them together, I think. I hope. We'll find out. I'm pretty sure they will. So I did press them all towards the solid so that when the next one goes on, it'll be pressed the other way. Yep, I think so. I'm out of time today, so. Dun 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 dun. This quilt top is finished. Just a little bit every day makes it go. Easy work, easy work. I have to say thank you all for helping me decide what to do with this quilt top. And I'm going to put another one to you here, probably, I don't know, maybe in this video. So all I have left to do is give it a press, pick out something for backing, and make a sandwich. Okay, so it's time for me to make a back to go ahead and make a sandwich and bind this quilt. And I held it up for Salty and I told him to pick a color. I said, first color comes to mind, pick a color. And he said dark purple. So I have this fabric here that I think is enough. I'm going to have to measure it out. But it's not enough. I would have to use 2 pieces the length. And I don't want to do that. It's so close. Like it's just, if I go the lengthwise, it's just a little bit short. Because this is folded in half and this is folded in half. So it's just a little bit short. Even if I leave a little overhang, I just need to add a little bit. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make, this is 5 squares by 4 squares across. So I'm going to make 5 more squares real quick. And I'm going to cut this the long way, slightly off center. And I'm going to put those 5 squares together and put them down the middle on the back, straight down. And then I'll be ready to make a quilt sandwich. So let's see what I can pull out for this. Okay, so I pulled out these 5 squares from the squares that I had cut earlier when I did the quilt, and then I went through the bag of scraps from that, and I pulled out a bunch of 2.5-inch strips that were left from that. They're not very long; they're all on the shorter side. So I have a couple of solids I pulled out. This is left over from a quilt I just did. I pulled a couple of these other ones out that kind of go with it. And then I wasn't sure if that was going to be enough, and I'm really hesitant to cut these because they're nice big pieces. So give me just one moment. I went back to this trusty bin, most of which came from Mom's stuff, and I pulled a whole bunch of stuff out. I'm not sure about those bigger pieces at the bottom, but I pulled out a whole bunch of strips. Some of them I'll have to trim down. A lot of them are 2.5, but some of them are a little wider, and I'll have to trim them down. And then there's a couple more big pieces in here. So I'm sure I have enough altogether to do this. I'm going to start with these shorter scraps and get these 5 things done. All right, so today I have this quilt that I worked on from the scraps. It was my WIP It Wednesday project. I've got it all laid out on the bed to make a quilt sandwich. I've got the backing done, and I'm getting ready to roll it back and use some spray basting and get the quilt sandwich made.